I've resisted the urge. I've resisted the urge for a very long time. The urge to dance. No, obviously, I'm kidding. What do you think? What do you think I'm going to do? Stand up and start dancing around this room? No, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to yap because I've got an Olympic gold medal. I am the captain of the U.S. Olympic team for yapping about sports. What else would I do on my vacation to Turks and Caicos? Like, I mean, can you even trust a country that you probably can't find on a map? I couldn't find it on a map until I got here. And I mean, no disrespect to the lovely people that I've met here. I feel like they honestly would prefer it that way. But you know, I've come here to a beautiful beach setting to sit inside and yap. And I'm ready to yap about something I haven't yapped about in a long time. That's what I'm building up. This is something I have avoided forever. Because I used to do this a lot on this channel. I used to spend a lot of time on this channel talking about this one particular topic. And I've been better for it not talking about it. Because to be perfectly honest, there is no way to discuss this in a way that everybody is happy with. Now, I'm always going to state my opinion, right? No matter what you guys' reaction is going to be. Right, and as a result, sometimes I learn a lot of things from the comments. I'll say something, you'll be like, that's wrong, and here's why. And I'll be like, bro, fair enough. But with penalties, there is no right or wrong answer. Okay, and we're talking about the latest penalty shout today. And the reason that we're talking about it is because it illustrates perfectly the issue that we have in the administration of penalties. Because it is inarguable that the biggest, most important decision that a referee and a referee staff can make is a penalty. It's a 75 to 80% chance to score a goal, and oftentimes it is awarded for a play that has well below a 10% chance to score a goal. Okay, and the reason that it is awarded is because of a foul in the box, and that's the rule of the sport, and I don't see it changing anytime soon. Okay, but the application of that rule could not have been more shown to be so marginal, to which, like, I don't think that the penalties that are awarded reflect the intent of the sport, which is to give the win to the team that deserves it more on the day. Should we agree? Can we agree? Can we look each other dead in our eye sockets and agree that the point of a sport is to give the win to the team that earned it on the day? And there's just something about the way penalties are awarded right now where it just doesn't feel like they are earned. And they are earned in the spirit of the rule. They are earned in the letter of the law. They're not earned in the spirit of the sport. Okay, but why am I so interested in this one? Because there's two examples here. First is the example that was given. Okay, this is an example that is given in a match between Aston Villa and Brighton. This happened on, I think it was Monday. I don't even know what day it is down here, right? I ended up seeing both of these highlights, and I went, did these happen in the same match? And it was yes. I did not watch the match because, again, I'm in Turks and Caicos. And if I'm not inside yapping, I'm outside yapping, having a Corona, living the good life, okay? Being as white as humanly possible, in trying not to get a sunburn. Now, the first one, this was given as a penalty for Aston Villa, okay? And it took so long to review this. Like 5 minutes. Look at the penalty review. It's 31:56 in the top corner. And by the time the guy's at the penalty spot, Ollie Watkins, it's 35:50. That is over 3 minutes. That's over 3 minutes that it took to review this, and that's one of the main problems. The beauty of this sport is that it has a flow, and when we do these long reviews, it's not reviews themselves, it's these long ones. It's the long reviews. You cannot have them. And the reason they happen is because of what I'm talking about in this video today. So here is the highlight, right? The goalkeeper has the ball, drops the ball, probably should have caught it, right? And now we have Morgan Rogers, who is flying in with, if he mistimes this by an inch, is like a strong yellow card challenge. Okay, but he's able to touch the ball with his cleats. Just poke it. He's not poking it anywhere. There's literally only yellow shirts there, right? This is not like an aggressive, productive offensive play. He's not trying to make an awesome play on the ball. He's not shooting it. He's not passing it. He's just lunging in to try and get to the ball first, right? It is a stern, aggressive, fly in there challenge. But now that we know how these penalties work, that in your mind, if you are a smart, good player, and Morgan Rogers is both of those things, you are trying to get your foot in front of their foot. Because everybody knows that if your foot can get there before the other player's foot, and you make contact with the ball, no matter how meaningless the contact, then that is going to be a foul. You're going to be able to draw a foul, and since it's in the box, it's in the freaking 6-yard box, it's going to be a penalty. Right? And as such, I don't know why they reviewed this for so long, because that's the rule as everybody understands it. Do I think that rule is dumb? Yes. Do I think this is a penalty? Yeah, it is. I don't know why it took them so long. Because it is understood that if you are able to get to the ball first, no matter what direction you're sending that ball, and then you get kicked, like when a guy, guy's going to clear the ball, but you're able to wrap around and kind of get your foot in between their clearing foot and the ball, you can win a penalty. That's just how this works. It's stupid. They should change it. They shouldn't award these sorts of penalties. Because if you do, you are just declaring open season for intelligent, good players like Morgan Rogers to just start, and they do this already. We all see it. Throwing their feet in front of somebody trying to clear the ball. Just any way that you can. And then, getting whacked. Right? But this is a penalty. And this is always going to be an annoying decision because you're watching it and you basically know that's what Morgan Rogers is doing. Sure, in midfield, you're trying to make a tackle so that your team maybe is able to retain possession. Right? There's all sorts of arguments that you can make in this position. But that's what's happening. That's what's happening in Morgan Rogers' mind. I know, I'm a mind reader. It's one of my gifts. Okay? And he wins this and it is a penalty. The penalty is taken. It is scored. This match ends up being 2-2. Obviously, that means the penalty was very important. Like, crazy important. But based off the way this is officiated now, this is a penalty. And if you don't like the fact that this is a penalty, you got to start asking to try and change the way this stuff is officiated. But what's particularly crazy is there's obviously an argument there between the way this stuff's been officiated, the understanding of the law, and the way it should be officiated, is this play. Okay, this play, which I would argue is a much more, I want to say a more significant foul that wasn't given as a penalty less than 3 minutes earlier. But the biggest reason that I wanted to talk about the first one is that I want to talk about the second one. Because there was a VAR review less than 3 minutes earlier for something that was nearly another penalty. And it was just terrible. I mean, look at this. The ball skips through to Morgan Rogers. And a sliding tackle comes in from Van Heck. Okay, Morgan Rogers just goes down. He hasn't been touched. And we spent minutes looking at this. And the only reason, right, that it seems to be given that Van Heck is not giving away a penalty here is that he seems to be the guy that touches the ball last with the tip of his foot. There's got to be more to this than who can manage to get their cleat edge on the ball first. How about the fact that Morgan Rogers, and I'm not blaming him here, this is the smart thing to do, that Morgan Rogers is able to flop his ass off. Look, he doesn't get touched. Okay, his foot lands firmly on the ground. He doesn't get touched. He feels him sliding, and then he just falls over. He doesn't get touched. He just goes down because he knows there's a sliding tackle next to him. It's a brilliant play by Van Heck. And he manages to get to but the only reason it's not a penalty is he manages to get to the ball first. I'm sorry. I think that this should be completely the other way around. We should, this review should take 5 seconds. The other review should take 5 seconds based off the understanding of the letter of the law. Neither of these should be penalties. A penalty should be an obvious freaking foul in the box because it's the biggest call you can make. Not I beat this guy to a ball by a quarter of a second. If you have to look at it for 4 minutes, it's not a penalty, even though I'm surprised they had to look at it for 4 minutes. Because based off the understanding of everything, it just shouldn't have been a penalty to begin with. But my biggest fear, my overarching world of football fear here is what's happened to the NBA. The NBA, professional basketball at the highest level, has succumbed to the letter of the law sort of stuff. The NBA has succumbed to that, and it feels like half of every NBA game is players trying to come up with more creative, more ingenious ways to draw fouls. Every time a ball carrier gets hit in the NBA, they do this. You throw your head back. You actually get coached to do that all the way down to the high school level now because there's a chance that you'll be able to draw the foul if you do it. Now, there's always going to be those sorts of things in sports. But there was a thing in the NBA until recently where if a defender had their hand out, you could very quickly try to shoot through their hand and get a shooting foul. Right? If their hand is out and it's right here and you're here, you would just go, whoa. It's kind of like the defender, having a leg out and you're able to just trip on it as an offensive player in soccer before the defender's able to get their leg out of the way, and all of a sudden you have a penalty. Right? And those sorts of moves, they obviously count. They obviously can work. Would you want to have that stuff under control? Once it starts to dominate the sport, once players are in the box and they're not looking to score, they're looking to draw a foul. Right? They're looking to create this type of contact. Morgan Rogers, instead of continuing his run and trying to jump over this tackle, where he would have had a chance to get to this ball, he sees that he's sliding, and he decides to kind of throw his heels into him and go down and see if he can get the call. Because the way the game's officiated, that's his best chance to score. And I just don't think that's right. Now, the NBA has taken steps. They removed that one play. They don't give that call anymore. And the United States has a lot more experience when it comes to video review stuff than football, than soccer. And you need to put these sorts of things in place in the era of video review so that you don't have people that are trying to create these ambiguous situations that could go their way. Because 2 happened in this match and 1 worked for Morgan Rogers, and that's why they do it. But it just, these 2 incidents right next to each other being determined by who is able to slightly get to that ball more, it should be determined by everything else. But yes, it was a penalty based off the way that it's officiated now. And I'm so glad they didn't give this one because this isn't.